Welcome back into Climbing the Summit podcast, where the true summit is self-discovery, self-realization. I am your host, Danny Cobbin, and today we're going to talk about how to find your happiness, how to find yourself, get back on the horse, and get the thing that it is that you want in your life. And we're going to start this was I was scrolling Instagram. You know, that dreaded scroll where all you're doing is looking at the videos and you're 30 minutes later, I'm still looking at Instagram. I am sure that you've had the similar experience of, I want to achieve this in my life, but you find yourself doom scrolling. And the video of Will Smith snapped me out of what I had going on. I believe it's from Complex, the actual podcast. And I listened to it and it was great. It's about 45 minutes long. But there was a part in it when Will Smith starts talking about happiness. And he's like, I wish everyone in the world could have the experience of being able to buy whatever it is that you want and realizing that won't bring you happiness. Family doesn't bring you happiness. A wife, a spouse, kids, those things aren't bringing him happiness. Those things can't ultimately make him happy, I should say, is what I heard him saying. And he said it's all an inside job. He's like, all those other things are like drinking salt water. It's going to make you want more and more and more. And what was fascinating was when he said, it's not that you can take happiness from another person. You don't go to a relationship and say, I need happiness. You don't go to your kids and say, I need happiness. You don't go to your job and say, I need happiness. You have to take happy to those places. You have to take happy to your significant other. You have to take happy to your spouse. You have to take happiness to your family and to your job. And when I heard that, it clicked. It wasn't quite an insight, but it was a realization. And then the realization was, oh my gosh, that was so true when I was going to work. I wasn't taking happiness to work. I was taking anger and frustration to work. Whenever I was with my kids, was I bringing joy to them or was I expecting to siphon it out of them? Was I expecting them to provide for me the very thing that I'm wanting to achieve? And I was thankful for listening to Will Smith talk about it from the perspective of the same perspective that Jim Carrey talked about it, the same perspective that Russell Brand talked about it, where it was like, hey, you can have all the money, you can do all the things, people can give you all the stuff, but unless you get it right up here and you deal with that dark night of the soul and you see those things for yourself, you will never be happy. So Danny, what is it that you can do? What is it that I can do? What is it that we can do as human beings to find more happiness and joy and then take those into the places where we want to feel more happiness and joy? And it's cool because all you have to do is start to recognize. If you, recognize that that's what you actually want, you will go on a journey. You will start climbing the mountain. Now, my climb to the summit started because I was taking anger to work. I thought it was my job. I thought it was other people. I thought it was the people in my life. They were the problem. And until I began to see that it was not them, but it was me ultimately that was the issue, that was the problem, I began to look at things. And the first mistake that I want you to avoid, the first thing that I want you to see and then overcome is you're going to say, oh, I was making a mistake. Oh, I messed up. No. Maybe you did mess up. Maybe you did make a mistake. But that is where you currently are. And you have to accept yourself where you are to push forward. If you can't first say, okay, this is where I am, you will start somewhere different other than the actual place where you are. And then you're going to struggle and wonder, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to say, why am I trying to make these changes in my life and other people aren't even recognizing them? And it's fascinating. It's beautiful to see. I was talking to a friend the other day, And the friend was down 26, 30 pounds in the last few months. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. They're like, well, I can't see it anywhere. Where's the 26 pounds at? And so like I said, how are your joints feeling? She was like, they feel great. That's the area in that scenario where you first see the likeness. That ain't where she wanted to see it. She wanted to be thin. She wanted to see a different body. She wanted all the things to occur. And because of that, she wasn't allowing herself to accept where she was currently. And I know for a fact that if I did it, if Will Smith did it, if Jim Carrey did it, if every other single human being did it, you too probably. You too. So recognizing is the first step. If I can recognize where it is, then I'm starting to see the benefits. It makes it easier to get that ball rolling. And yes, there are other things you're going to have to do after you start noticing, but it's not as much as you would think. So in my coaching, once we begin to recognize where we are and what we want, then we stop worrying about it. We don't go over and over and over in our brains on this is what I want and how I want it and this is what I'm doing. And it's almost like, I don't know if you guys have ever held a firefly. When I was young in Dallas, fireflies all over the field. I could never catch one myself, right? And the reason why is because I was holding my hand like this. It was wide open. Anything can fly into there, but anything can also fly out. And now some of you out there, you hold that firefly, you hold that dream, you hold that thing so tight that it smothers whatever's inside of there. And so there is this type of grip that you can have that allows for butterflies or your dream or whatever that is to be in your hand, to be held securely, tightly, but still give it enough room to move that you don't kill it, you don't smother it. So number one, you notice. B, two, once you've noticed, you lay off the gas. Because things and realizations are going to start happening when you see them. The most important thing that we do not understand in our current society, me included, was the fact that we don't get insight, we don't get new information when we are holding things tightly. We don't. It's just we can't. The information can't get in. But once we allow ourselves not to hold things so tightly, we allow for that space, we allow for that grace, we allow for the expansion and contraction, we'll start seeing what to do. And earlier I said a realization versus an insight. And I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit. An insight is a sight within. It comes with its own vibration, its own feeling, its own information. And it doesn't come from our thoughts. We may recognize it through our thoughts, but it doesn't come from our thoughts. It comes from outside of our thoughts. I know, we're getting a little deep here. But once you understand this, right? Once you understand this and you see it for yourself, it'll change your life. Now, you say, Danny, how do I know? I'm not just going to take your word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. This is how you know. It's like math. You could check it. Go back and look at a situation that you had to get something solved, something figured out. It could be big. It could be small. And was it when you were drilling away and you're thinking on it and trying to figure it out and your mind's wrestling and you're asking your friends, and was it that? Or was it the moment that you exhausted your thought process and you relaxed and you sat down and you said, all right, I'm not going to think about it. Did the information come? Now, that's what I want you to take with you. Right? I want you to take just a moment to reflect in your own life on what happened when you were holding something so tightly that you were trying, because you were trying to get it figured out. And then what happens when you allow for a little space to occur before going into the situation. We as human beings, when we're climbing our personal summits, we're going to do the best that we possibly can do. So it is useful to have tools. It is useful to know how things work so that when we are in the moment, we can be in the moment now. It's not just good for me. It's not just good for you. But that's how we're going to build the world that we want to see, is by first recognizing that we're taking that feeling, we're taking that emotion into the job, into our relationship with our significant other, into the relationship with ourselves. And if we want to bring more happiness and joy, it's an inside job. And it's nice to have somebody who ain't already in there, who can give you some clarity about what you're seeing about yourself. No, they don't need to give you their information. Like if they're giving you a tool that you asked for, cool, great. But all I want for you is to wake up to who and what you truly are. And yeah, maybe there are steps to take after that. But once you're happy, once you're settled, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to know what to do next, because those insights have all of the information that we need. We just have to find the insight. We just have to get to the insight. And if that's something you need help with, if that's something that you are trying to find for yourself, more happiness, more joy, you got everything already. You got the job, you got the relationship, you got the kids, but you're still finding that there's something more that you feel like you're missing. Let's have a conversation together. Let's sit down and have a conversation and talk about it and see if we can get you to a place of happiness and joy where you walk out of the door, whether it's happiness or joy, and you enjoy your life. Guys, have a great day. Keep climbing towards your personal summit, and we will catch you next time.